Alright folks, we're going to go over the review for both Chapter 1 and 2. Now remember, your final is actually all 3 chapters, but I assume since we just took the test over Chapter 3 that you're still fresh in your minds and you should be good on it. So, I'm going to explain Chapter 1, then Chapter 2. So let's start with Chapter 1. Alright, so this thing right here is asking to name the 2 lines in the plane above. So we're talking about this line and this line right here. Alright, now when you're naming lines, okay, so you gotta remember when you name lines, all you actually have to do is give the name of the 2 points on that line. So for example, this line right here, it's line EF, or you could have said EI, IF, it doesn't matter. These 3 points are on this line, so to name it, you just have to name 2 of the 3 points. So here, I'm just going to use EF because it's easy for me to remember like that. So, I would write line EF. That'd be my first line. Now, my second line is this one that's going up and down. So, whoop. So, it's one that's going up and down. So, this is G, I, and H. So you're going to use GH because it's easy, but once again, you could have used whatever you wanted. So I have EF and GH right here. Those are my 2 lines, and that's all you have to do for that problem. Next problem. Alright, now naming planes. Naming planes are just as easy as naming lines. Except for when you're naming planes, you have to use 3 points, okay? You have to use 3 points on that one. Now, when I'm talking about planes, I'm talking about each side of this box is technically a plane, okay? So when it asks, name the plane that represents the top of the box, we're looking for this top. All right, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 4 parts to this, or corners to this top of the box. I only have to choose 3. It doesn't matter which 3 you choose. I might as well just put plane A, D, H, all right? I used 3 of them. You could have used E, A, H. You could have said E, A, D. Doesn't matter what you put, as long as you're using 3 of the letters. The next one asks, name the plane that represents the left side of the box. Well, the left side of the box is right here. You have A, B, F, and E represent the left side of the box. So you can use any 3 of those letters. A, B, F. All right, plane A, B, F. That's acceptable. All I had to do is write down 3 letters that represent the plane. Done. And that's it. First page wasn't too bad, or shouldn't have been too bad. Second page. Alright, second page is dealing with lines. Now, as I always say, everything is made up of the sum of its parts. Okay? So the sum of its parts, meaning you have to add its parts up in order to get to the whole. So what I mean by that is if you see this whole line right here, from A to B is this whole length right here. Now it's made up of 2 smaller lines, AC and CB. Now you have AC and CB, right? So AB is the sum of its 2 smaller parts, AC and CB. Alright, so written like this. So AC plus CB should give you the whole thing, AB. Now, knowing that, we can just fill in the blanks. AC is from here to here, and is represented by 4x minus 13. CB is this part right here, which is represented by 7x minus 3. AB tells you right here what AB is, and that's 50. Okay? So we can tell by those that that is what we're looking for. Now, once you've gotten to here, we're trying to actually solve for x. So all you have to do is first combine like terms. So these 2 are like terms, and these 2 are like terms. So this and this combined together, since they're both positive, will make 11x. Negative 13, negative 3, since they're both negative, will make negative 16. And then we'll set it equal to 50. Okay? From here, it's just a 2-step equation. I have to add 16, I have to add 16, So you get 11x equals 66. Finally, you divide by 11. Divide by 11. You get x equals 6. Now, that's that's the first part of our problem. It's also asking us to find the value of AC and CB. So to find AC, all we have to do is plug in 6 for x for AC. So AC equals 4x minus 13. Or if we plug it in, it comes 4 times 6 minus 13, or 24 minus 13, which gives you 11. So we know AC is 11, and now we can find CB as 7x minus 3. Alright, 7 times 6 minus 3, which that gives us 42 minus 3, which equals 39. Okay? Simple as that. Alright, the next one, I shouldn't have to explain too much because it's essentially the same exact thing. Remember, we're adding these two things together. Alright, so we're taking 3x plus 5, and we're adding 5x plus 7, and we're setting it equal to what the whole thing equals, which is 108. So it's 108. Okay? Combine like terms. These two are like terms. Since they're both positive, it becomes 8x. Both of these are positive, so it's positive 12 equals to 108. Okay, now let's solve for x. First step, subtract the 12, get 8x equals 96. You divide by 8, you would get x equals 12. Alright, remember that's the first part of the problem. We got x. Now we got to find AC and CB. AC gives you 3x plus 5. So it's 3 times 12 plus 5, which is 36 plus 5, which equals 41. CB is 5x plus 12. That's 5 times 12 plus 7. So that's 60 plus 7, which equals 67. Okay? Those are your 3 answers. Next problem's pretty easy. Alright, it's asking you for the value of A, B, D. Now, as I said earlier, everything is a sum of its parts. Well, that means that the parts are A, B, C, and C, B, D, meaning these two angles together make up this bigger angle. So all we do is add them together. Simple as that. Next one. Once again, sum of its parts, it's 24 plus 34, which gives you 58. Okay? On to the next page. Okay, first part. What is an angle that is supplementary to ECB? So let's find ECB. Okay? It's this little angle right here. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what is another angle when combined with this angle right here that we've shaded will make a straight line. Okay, that's what supplementary means, is 180. And since 180 degrees equals a straight line, that's why we're looking for a straight line. So, we have this angle right here. Now, we got to find what angle combined with this angle will make a straight line. Well, as you can see, there's two straight lines. You have one right here, and you have one right here. Alright, I'm just going to use this one right here. It doesn't matter which one you used. Alright, so this answer technically has 2 answers, but we're just going to use that one. Now, as you can see, my phone's going to cover up everything that's not, that we don't need to know about. So we have this straight line right here. We have this angle right here that makes up part of the straight line. Now let's figure out what other angle makes up the other straight line. Well, the only one we can see is this one right here, which, as you can see, is A, C, E. So you would say angle ACE. Now you could have also used this straight line right here, and then would came up with an equally correct answer. Or you could have said angle, since this angle and this angle make a straight line, you could have said FCB. FCB. That also works. Now, what is an angle that is supplementary to DCB? So, we have D, so I'm going to erase this real fast. Angle DCB. So if I were to shade that, it'd be this angle right here. Now we got to figure out what angle with that angle will create a straight line. Well, I mean, we only have one option. Is to create this straight line right here. Okay? Now, there's two parts to this. You have this angle and you have this angle. These two bigger angles make up this straight line. So the only way to tell which angle combines with it is to just see what's empty right here. So ACD. So angle ACD would be the appropriate angle that is supplementary to DCB. Alright, next one. Name two sets of vertical angles. Okay, remember, vertical angles are angles that are across from each other, or angles that are across from each other that are created by straight lines. Okay, so we have this line right here, we have this line right there. Alright, so we have two straight lines, check. Alright, so we've got this one and this one. Alright, they're across from each other, so that means they're vertical angles. So all we gotta do is tell us that CEB, which is this angle, so angle CEB, and AED are both vertical. The other one, CEA, so angle CEA, and angle BED. Those are also a set of vertical angles. Alright, fourth page. Okay, so remember, supplementary means 180. Complementary means 90. So when it asks you, what is the complement of an angle, or the complement of an angle is 47. What is the measurement of the other angle? Okay, so remember, two angles that combine together to give you 90 is complementary. So if we know that one is 47, how we figure out the other one is all we gotta do is take 90 degrees and subtract 47 from it. It'll give us a 43-degree angle. Okay? 54, same thing. 90 minus 54 equals 36. So your answer should have been 43 and 36. These angles are supplementary to their angles that are in the questions. Alright, next problem. Ray BD bisects, remember that means cuts in half, angle ABC. So this little thing right here cuts ABC in half. Solve for x and find angle ABC if, okay, so first, when something cuts something in half, it means it makes two equal halves. So what we know is that these two angles are equal. So we're saying that angle ABD is equal to angle B or DBC, right? So since we know they're equal to each other, we can actually solve for x by setting these two equations equal to each other. Okay? So first step here would be to, 1, add 5 to both sides. Okay? So we get 3x equals 5x minus 2. Then I can subtract 5x from both sides. And I get negative 2x equals negative 2. Divided by negative 2. we get x equals 1. Now that we know that x equals 1, we can figure out the total amount of ABC by simply plugging in the x into where x should go. So I'm just going to plug in angle ABC, or ABD, equals 3x minus 5. Alright, so 3x minus 5, which is 3 times 1 minus 5, which is 3 minus 5, which equals negative 2. Okay? Now, I didn't really draw this to scale, and it's kind of bad to have negative degrees, but it's whatever. Alright, so right now we know ABD is equal to negative 2. So what that tells us is that half of this angle up here, so half of this angle is negative 2. Now, since we know that half of it's negative 2, that means the other half, since it is congruent or equal, also has to be negative 2. So that means the total of the whole thing should be negative 4. Okay, so A, B, C equals negative 4. And x equals 1. So ABC equals negative 4 and x equals 1. Alright, so the same thing with this one. So we get 6x plus 7 equals 3x plus 28. Let's solve. Subtract 3x, subtract 3x, we get 3x plus 7 equals 28. Subtract 7, 3x equals 21. Whoop. Sorry about that. Divide by 3. X equals 7. So we know x equals 7. So to figure out the total angle, we got to take the 7 and plug it in. So we can get 6x plus 7, which is 6 times 7 plus 7, which is 42 plus 7, which equals 49. Okay? So we have 49. That means that half of the angle is 49. That means the other half also has to be 49. So that means the total has to be 98. And that's how you do that part. Alright, midpoint formula. Okay, so remember how to use the midpoint formula. Alright, first you got to be able to tell what is x1, x2, y1, y2. Remember, the first number is always your x. And since this is the first point, we're going to call that x1. This is the second point, we're going to call this x2. This is the second point, so it's always y, so it's going to be y1, because it's in the first point. This is my second y, so it's going to be y2. Alright, add these together. You take 4 plus 7, put it over 2, comma, 6 plus 10, put it over 2. This gives you 11 over 2. This gives you 16 over 2, which will give you 5.5, comma, 8, which should be your answer. Second one, same thing. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So I combine these together, so it's going to be 5 plus 3 all over 2, comma, 7 plus 5 all over 2. You should get 8 over 2, 12 over 2, which should end up being 4, comma, 6. That's how you find the midpoint of 2 points. Using distance formula. Okay, so let's use distance formula. All you do is fill in the blanks. Okay, so once again, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Alright, give you the formula right here. All you do is fill in the blanks. Okay, so x2 is 4, minus x1, which is 5. It's going to be squared plus y2, which is 7, y1, which is 6, and that should be squared too. Okay? What this gives you is negative 1 squared plus 1 squared. Okay? Now remember, when something is squared, that means take the number and multiply by itself. So negative 1 times negative 1 will become positive 1. 1 times itself is also positive 1. So that should equal the square root of 2. Next one, same idea. x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's plug it in. So I'm going to do x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 7, that's going to be squared, plus y2, which is 8, minus y1, which is 4, we're going to square that too. Okay, this is going to give you negative 4 squared plus 4 squared, which is going to give you negative 4 times itself is 16, plus 4 times itself, which is 16 again, which equals the square root of 32. Finally, perimeter. Perimeter, once again, is you're counting up the outside. Okay, so if this is 12, and this is a rectangle, we know that this other side has to be 12. Since this is 7, this other side has to be 7, because on rectangles, opposite sides are equal. Okay, now to find the perimeter, all we're going to do is add all these up. So it becomes 12 plus 7 plus 12 plus 7. If you add all that up, you should get 38. Now, with squares is a little bit different. To define the perimeter of a square, we know that one side is 8. Now what's special about squares is that every side is equal. So that means that every side is equal to 8. So to do this, you just do 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. That would give you 32. So that's it for chapter 1. The next video will be over chapter 2, so please pay attention.